Hey everybody, this is Moonbase Alpha. Thanks for watching. Today I wanted to do a quick review on the chest rig that I was wearing in one of my previous videos. I was doing a video out on the first day after the election, and for whatever reason the public warning system decided to do a test that day. And I don't know what it's about. I never was able to figure it out, but hey, I wasn't able really to complete filming on that particular video. I was doing some work with the Adams Arms Piston 308 patrol rifle, and one of the reasons I wanted to kind of bring that rifle back out is kind of give you guys some updates on how it's going. And in fact, I do want to just briefly mention I changed out a few small parts on that gun. I changed a flash hider for a muzzle brake from Surefire, and a few other bits, bobs, and doodads, and now it's actually a remarkably great rifle. I really like that gun a lot, and it's very reliable, very accurate, and runs 308, which I generally like. I know there's a lot of guys out there who are 5.56, 545, 7.62 by 39. I happen to be a 308 guy. If I can at all take it, I'll take the 308. It's got a lot of advantages. One of the trouble spots for 308 is kind of the development for the load-bearing systems really kind of stopped after the 1960s. Everybody pretty much translated from battle rifles to intermediate cartridge rifles. So you'll notice that a lot of gear has been really geared towards 5.56 rifles, Stanag magazines, because that's what NATO was running. And here's the deal, you know, there has been a bit of a resurgence in 308 battle rifles over the past 10 years or so. People have figured out that there is a need for them. Primarily has to do with shooting at range, but for me personally, I like to keep a 308 handy for use outside of my home if I need to go patrol the homestead in the event of an emergency. Because frankly, there is a new prevalence of AR-500 and similar high-quality body armors out there on the market that are available for civilians. And people with the internet have figured out how to actually buy this stuff. The trouble is, if one of my redneck neighbors decides that they want to go loot, pillage, and rape, unfortunately, they're going to be just as well armed as I am, and so I decided that I would like to step up to a 308 battle rifle if I need to go and protect my homestead here. So, 308 is good in a lot of variety of reasons. You know, of course, it bucks wind, it's got better range, it carries with it about 3 times the amount of kinetic energy as a 5.56 NATO round, which means that the kinetic energy in a single 20-round magazine of 308 is roughly equivalent to that of the kinetic energy in a D60, a Magpul D60. If you just say kinetic energy per mag, the 308 really trumps. And frankly, the rifles only weigh just a little bit more. These days, that Adams Arms Piston 308, it weighs like a pound more than an AR-15. Why wouldn't you take the 308? The only reason you wouldn't do it is if you're concerned with overpenetration inside of a home, or you're concerned with a concussion. But beyond that, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm outside, I'm taking a 308, man. That's just the way I'm going to roll. But you do have this trouble, right? The chest rigs, load-bearing equipment, just kind of hasn't really come along. And so recently there have been a number of companies who have figured out that there is a need for this kind of stuff. They're primarily marketing towards military and door kickers and whatnot. But then there's me. I'm the weirdo who is preparedness minded, and I don't think that's unreasonable given the fact that we're pretty much at the onset of the second Cold War. But here's the deal. This D3CR Heavy from Haley Strategic is probably the best chest rig I've used to date. I've used a number of them, and in fact I looked originally at Blue Force gear, and I have a Blue Force gear chest rig. The trouble is the Blue Force gear has a couple of problems. It's the speed 10 or 10 speed. For one, the pouches are not rigid on them, so reinsertion of a magazine back into the pouch is kind of difficult. For another, they only have the chest rig is only 3 magazines broad, so this one actually gives you an extra mag. And then beyond that, you can't really layer stuff on top of a 10-speed pouch from Blue Force gear. The trouble is they have an elastic front, and they need to be able to expand outward. And these magazine pouches are kind of in the back behind a row of additional pouches. So this keeps it nice and slim on your body. If you want to run additional pouches on a 10-speed Blue Force gear chest rig, you have to go to the side, which really inhibits motion. This is perfectly fit for my body. You know, I'm 6'2", 300, no, not 300 pounds, 230 pounds. I'm not a small guy. I'm not skinny. I'm kind of broad-shouldered, and this fits me quite well. So I don't mind it at all. The weight's not bad. Everything loaded on here is really only about, I'd say, 5 or 6 pounds. It's not bad at all. And you know, I do have kind of a minimum of equipment here. This is basically stuff that I would need running out of the house. I don't have, for example, a flashlight. I want to get a walkie-talkie for this so that I can have communications, and I'd also like to have a dump pouch on this. Those are the three things that I really am missing right now. I'll add them eventually. It's just cash flow, right? But I have the chest rig. I have 4 magazines. These are Lancer L7 mags. These are great magazines. I'll show you these real quick. A lot of people haven't even seen these in 308. These are fantastic. They have a steel shell around the feed lips, so you can leave them loaded pretty much indefinitely. I'm running, I think these are 150 or 158 grain Privy Partisan. It's M80 spec ball ammunition on this particular. And yeah, by the way, that is kind of what I lean towards. You don't really need a whole lot more with a 308. This is quite powerful stuff. And these are retained by little bungee retention flaps that have got a little rubberized tab on them. Those are quite nice. And of course you get 2 pistol mag pouches, or if you want to put a flashlight up here, which is probably what I'll wind up doing, you can put those there. These are ETS Glock 17 mags. These are good magazines, by the way, if you're curious at all about the ETS mags. These are fantastic. They're cheap. And they work, which means that you can go buy a whole bunch of them and keep them in reserve in case of a problem. And by the way, I haven't had a problem with them keeping them loaded. I was initially kind of skeptical about these because of the feed lips and you know, spreading and whatnot. But I haven't had a problem with them. I've left them loaded, by the way, as well in my car. Left them over the entire summer when it was hot, and to see if what would happen. Fully loaded, a 31 round magazine from ETS, and nothing happened. It runs like a champ. So I've got no qualms recommending those to you, and the Lancer L7s. So I got 4 of those. I got 2 pistol mags. I do have a knife on the side here. This is a Spyderco HAP 40 SUS 10 Endura. This is for cutting open clothing if I need to put on quick clot and a tourniquet. So I've got a rat's tourniquet there. I don't know what this pouch is used for. I might put some things like a dope card or something in there at some point. But to be honest with you, I'm not that good of a shot at long range. So, you know, at the end of the day, maybe that's for somebody else. I don't know. I do have a couple patches on here. You know, I've got my Gadsden flag pouch, and of course troll face, and on the back here I've got my right to bear arms. Yeah, standard H harness up here. It works good, and of course it's got a few MOLLE areas here where you can attach some additional stuff. And the cool thing about this is if you do the whole HSP thing, you can get, I think, a particular type of plate carrier that this will work with, and you can run that, and this basically just clips into that. I'm not sure exactly which plate carrier that is. I'm gonna have to look it up at some point, but I've got other plate carriers that I don't really feel the need to replace them right now. This is kind of a grab and go solution, and frankly, as far as I'm concerned, you know, in some respects, it's better to be a little bit more mobile. If I'm around the house or whatever, and I need a plate carrier, by all means, I'll get a plate carrier. But you know, for most purposes, this is probably going to be more than adequate. Here's the deal, though. These are not cheap, and I hesitate to recommend them to you unless you really need something to carry around this kind of ammunition, because this is an expensive carrier. They run about $180, I think, from HSP, which is going to be pricey. you know, you might be better served with something a little bit cheaper. I know that the Blue Force Gear guys are constantly running sales these days, sometimes 25% off on a $75 heavy chest rig is going to give you, what is it, like $55 or something like that. You might be better off going with the Blue Force Gear just simply for cost. But, you know, if you want a few more features, again, this is a very well-made product. It's got little eyelets. The stitching's perfect. It's high-quality materials. I didn't mention that there's a little thing in the back here where you can keep maps or something like that, which is a highly underrated thing, by the way. The ability to navigate is always a good thing. You know, as far as I'm concerned, this may be a better unit, but the value proposition you're going to have to weigh for yourself. I think it's great. I think that they did a great job with this particular chest rig, and I would recommend it if you know, price no object. I definitely recommend it. Just weigh the price per performance for yourself, because, like I said, it is spendy. If you are the kind of guy who has that other plate carrier, by the way, and you want the chest rig to go with it, I thoroughly understand your sentiment, and by all means, go with this particular chest rig. A couple other options that are out there. I mean, you can always run a battle belt. That's not a bad idea. The HSGI battle belts that are out there that are like the sticky sure grip belts, I think is what they're called. Those are fantastic and very comfortable, and they do get the weight off of your chest, which is a little bit better for your back. This is going to be a little bit more grating on your back, and it does kind of help, by the way, if you have a backpack on with this to kind of even out the loading. The other thing I'll tell you is there are some other chest rigs out there for 308s that are split front. I like the one from UW Gear. They have a split front there. There's also the ESS bush bore, which comes in 7.62. And I think that fits all 308 battle rifle magazines, PTR 91, G3, FAL, M1A, the particular SR25 type. I think that fits them all. This one does, of course, too. This will work with any 308 magazine that you can put in there. You know, I personally believe that this is probably one of the better of the chest rigs that's out there, though. If you can stomach the cost, it's definitely worth it. The trouble is you just got to stomach the cost. So weigh it in your own mind, and if it makes sense to you, by all means, I think it's a really excellent chest rig. Anyway, thanks for watching. I certainly appreciate it. I'll see you later. Bye.